All right, we're going to do it here this morning. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. All right. Woohoo! Hey, it wouldn't be a morning without a cup of Ohio political news. That's what we're going to say. A cup of Ohio political news. By the way, I'm in the dark. Didn't pay my electric bill because the grid is too high with all these data centers, and it's costing me too much money. So I just turned out all the lights. How's everybody doing this morning? All right, let's get to some news here. I'm not going to be talking about the war in Iran and things like that. You can get that on 24/7 anywhere you want to. But let's talk about some Ohio stuff here. And I want to dig in here for a minute with some of these data center issues. So there is a new House bill that's coming along. See, people are having problems here in Ohio because the data centers are just sucking up all this electricity. The rates are rising. Then they're using our water. Okay? They're taking our water and they're polluting it, and then they're throwing it back in to the wells and everything else. So there's a lot of issues with the data centers. Now, it wouldn't be so bad if they were paying property taxes, but they don't. And it wouldn't be so bad if they, on building these massive construction facilities, if they were paying sales tax on everything that they bought, because that would go back into the local community as well. They don't pay any sales tax. And then a lot of them say, well, you know, we've been here about 10 years, but there's greener pastures in Louisiana or Indiana or something else. See you later. Bye. And we're left in the dark, okay? So those are some of the problems. So House Bill 706, which is to impose certain minimum requirements on data center customers, on data centers, has been introduced, which is good. I mean, it's a good bill. It's got bipartisan support here. And who is it? Who's the supporters? It is Representative Tristan Rader. And he is a Democrat. So we got a Democrat, and then we got the Republican David Thomas out of Ashtabula area. So they put this together, which is sounding pretty good. See, we just don't want these, we don't want to get shafted any more by the data centers than we already have been. Okay, so it imposes exit fees. If you're going to leave early, data center, you're paying us, okay? If you get, early termination, we want some kind of collateral put up on these data centers so that if you don't even finish the construction, we're not left hanging. You're paying. So you got to get tough with these guys. See, we have an administration. I'm not fond at all of the current administration with the current governor, DeWine, who never seems to really be able to fight for anything. All right, he gets steamrolled too easily. He's never been in the private sector. He's never had to build a business. He's just always been on the public dough, and he's gotten weak. He's a pushover. Oh, well, these data centers are going to go somewhere else if we don't give them everything they want. Well, maybe they will go somewhere else, but if they're not giving us anything, what's the point here? All right, let's talk about some of the things that they're not giving us. Okay, during the budget, lawmakers tried ending the 100% sales tax exemption on materials to build the data centers, and Governor DeWine overruled them. So the lawmakers are like trying. They're trying. They're saying, you guys, this can't be a business relationship that we just get crushed like a cockroach. There's got to be a give and take here, and Ohio has to start getting something out of this more than we have been. Of course, the Chamber of Commerce, the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, has defended DeWine, saying that it would result in 35% less in investment and a $500 million less in revenues by 2030. First of all, these reports that they put out, I'd love to see how they come up with their numbers. You really have to look. The devil is in the details. Anybody can say anything. But when you start looking at what they're talking about, losing money because we're not giving them everything for free, I'd like to see a little more research on that because it's probably total and complete BS. So anyhow, that's House Bill 706, but it's sitting in committee. And if it gets out of committee and it gets voted on by the legislators, it would be interesting to see if DeWine would veto it. So there's another data center being built, and it's by ARC Industry. ARC, like Noah's Ark. They are expanding in Ohio. And get ready for this. It's going to create 10 new jobs in Ohio. That's this many, okay? Now, they're really high paying. They make over $150,000 each. But it's only 10 jobs. Come on. And how much do you want to bet that the people that get these $150 minimum $1,000 per year job are even Ohioans? You know, if ARC Industry is out of Texas, California, wherever, they're probably going to relocate. How many people would like to relocate to Ohio and make $150,000 and sit on your rear end all day? I even might have to show up for work once in a while. Okay, so ARC Industries wants to invest $136 million in an expansion. They have to maintain operations in Akron and Independence for at least 13 years. So Ohio is being dubbed as the Silicon Heartland when it comes to data centers. That's because we give them these healthy tax breaks. We have lots of flat, smooth land, easy to build on, cheap power, cheap labor costs. We don't have any natural disasters. We don't have these hurricanes whipping through. And we have the 5th most data centers in the country. Data centers in general tend not to create many jobs. They create a lot of construction jobs, but after that, nothing. However, they are electricity hungry, and they have raised fears that they will drive up power bills in Ohio, and they consume lots of water that hurts the state's environment. You know, let's think about that for a second. Number one, they're not creating jobs. Number two, they're not paying property taxes. 3, they're not paying any sales tax on anything that they buy to construct it. 4th, after they're here, they pollute our water and they raise our electric bills. And these are all big companies: Amazon, X, Meta, Apple, Google. These are trillion-dollar companies. This is a cash cow for them. All we're doing here in Ohio is making them richer. What are we getting out of it? And the thing that cracks me up the most is DeWine and others will say, well, we got to give them all these tax breaks or they'll go somewhere else. Yeah, that's true. But let's think about this a minute. Why won't they pay the taxes here in Ohio? Why won't they pay the property taxes here in Ohio? Well, maybe the taxes are too high, right? So the property taxes are too high to lure these big data centers here, but they're okay for the average citizen like you and I. We're being raked over the coals with our property taxes. That's okay. As a matter of fact, we'll pass the property tax bills on to the localites. Let's just keep bringing in these data centers. It's crazy. All right. What else we got here? I found this story to be kind of funny here, too. Also, they were saying that there's a lack of affordable child care here in Ohio. Now, we just had that big thing in Minnesota with the Somalians open all those phony daycare centers, and we have a ton of phony daycare centers here in Ohio and the Columbus area and stuff. I go down to work, I pass 3 Somalian daycare centers, and there's never anybody in the parking lot ever. All right, but it's funny because now another report has just come out saying, oh, we don't have enough child care facilities, and it's costing us $5 billion a year. I don't know. Ready Nation put out a report, and this report is exactly the same as what the Ohio Chamber of Commerce put out. So I wonder if Not saying Ready Nation did this, but what if they just grabbed the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, plagiarized it, and said, hey, here's a report? Because the two mirror each other. It's ridiculous. But they're saying we're losing $5 billion a year because we don't have proper daycare centers. Well, let's look into proper daycare centers for a while. Because between the Somalians, where we're losing $5 billion, and then the daycare centers not doing their jobs, I guess the legit ones, I don't know. That's $10 billion right there. We can save a lot of money in Ohio. We just have to start doging it. There was one other issue here with the Cleveland Browns Stadium I wanted to mention. Lawmakers earlier this year put aside $1.7 million in unclaimed funds for sports and cultural facilities. $600 million of which was earmarked for the Cleveland Browns. I think that's supposed to be $1.7 billion. But anyhow, what I wanted to mention about this, I think that's a typo on there. Whoever wrote the story. But we put aside $600 million for the Cleveland Browns, remember? $600 million. $600 million we gave to the Haslams. Haslam just bought a $20 or $30 million house. This guy's not hurting for cash. However, I was told that it's really going to be $1 billion, not $600 million. And then I saw this, and here's why. House Bill 434 is dedicating another $400 million to a yet-to-be-determined sports facility. And who is going to issue the money? It will be at the discretion of Governor DeWine. But he will get the approval of the controlling board. Who controls the controlling board? The controlling board is a rubber stamp for anything that the governor wants to do. That's what So somebody was telling me, and now I see it. They were telling me, Joe, it's not $600 million. It's really going to be $1 billion. And I said, well, that's not what I've read. Now I see. I see the insider stuff. Publicly, they gave $600 million to the Browns. Now, non-publicly, right now, and they're going to be hush-hush about it, there's another $400 million waiting to be distributed to a yet-to-be-determined sports facility. And the governor is the one who's going to make the choice on that. And you better believe it's going to happen without any fanfare and quietly, and no one's even going to realize that something like that happened. Let's look at a couple other news stories here. I'll go to Ohio Political News on X. We always have some good stuff here. 29 states are breaking federal law to hide voter rolls from the Department of Justice. That's unbelievable. 29 states are refusing to hand over their voter rolls. Isn't that amazing? 29 states.
Exciting election law news here at the DOJ Civil Rights Division. Today, we sued 5 additional states for their refusal to turn over voter rolls in response to the Attorney General's request under the Civil Rights Act.
They had to sue 5 additional states. And we were out at the Thirsty Cowboy, just to highlight a little bit of this. This was Bernie Moreno. He was thanking all the grassroots groups for his support. And then let me play this for a second, because this also has to do with the data centers. This was kind of interesting. This is
to choose whether they
Jay
want
Edwards
a data
was
center.
speaking. But listen to this for a
Those
second.
petitions required 15% of signatures in the last governor's election to be able to put that on the ballot. It was a way for you to tell your local officials, hey, we're taking matters into our own hands.
He's talking about data centers.
In the last budget, you probably didn't even know this, they raised that number from 15% to almost 40%, taking those rights away from you. They don't.
What that entailed, what he was saying there was, if you wanted to petition data centers, you had the right. You had to get 15% of the signatures of the last gubernatorial election, the voters in your county. Well, they quietly, our state lawmakers quietly, without telling anybody, raised that to 40% now, which is like a hurdle that's you can't do. You're never going to be able to cross that threshold. It's too high. So now you got to get 40%. And just a reminder, we've got to pass the SAVE Act. This guy is doing absolutely nothing on the big national level. John Thune We got to replace him. So I think Trump might be taking stuff into his own hands when it comes to the SAVE Act, because we got to get that passed. We have to get it passed. I think he's going to put forth an executive order to get the SAVE Act passed. So we'll be keeping an eye out on that. Also, just a couple other notes real quick. When we did a podcast last night, we were talking to Frank Spring, that's his real name, out of New Mexico. And he had something really interesting. If you can catch it on X or you catch it on our Facebook page, we post everything on Facebook. It's a great place to go to get caught up on Ohio political news. He was talking about a company that he just started where they ask in-depth information. It's like a polling company, but instead of saying, would you vote for Trump or wouldn't you vote for Trump, AI calls the people, and when they engage in the conversation, everything is recorded and written down by AI. And it's useful information for candidates because instead of having to go door knocking, which was the old-fashioned way and probably still the best way, but it's so time-consuming and so difficult, he's getting all your door-knocking information for you. So I thought that was pretty clever. There's always a way to make some money somewhere. I thought that was pretty clever. So that's Frank Spring out of New Mexico. He started his own business doing that. Check it out. Check out the podcast that we did last night on that. You guys have yourself a great day. The sun is coming out. It's going to warm up. See ya. Have a good one.